Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dungeon Raid. With me today I've got the ever-lovable Mixie, the enjoyable Mia, and joining us once again, well, for the first time this time, is Isilme. Welcome everybody.
Hello.
This is Isilme Turifant, or more accurately, Kirillon Turifant, as I have decided to resurrect my old Final Fantasy XI character as the patriarch of the Turifant clan, and he is now going to be doing some tanking here. If you ask the question as to why I have my main character as a main job paladin and my elf character as a main job paladin, I really like paladin.
You think? Alright, so, as you can tell there, Kirillon, or Isilme, we'll just stick to calling you Izzy. Izzy is going to be our tank for today and possibly for the rest of the thing on. If you are not certain and you want to see more from a tanking perspective, Isilme's personal perspective will be on the channel as well as my own. So without any further ado, let's get going to the duty finder. Is everyone ready?
Ready to go.
I'm ready.
And in we go. Now, for those of you who are not aware, Toto-Rak was actually one of the two original dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV, the 1.0 version. This was a level 30 to 35 dungeon, I believe, and the other one was the Dresmel Darkhold, which was a level 50 dungeon. Now, you're probably all going, oh, it's just a rehash dungeon? No, this dungeon's been completely rebuilt.
Yeah, the basic layout of it is the same. Like, you're going to, when you come in here, you will recognize it, but they've juiced it up quite a bit. Anyway, so let's get going here.
Indeed.
Also, anybody who's familiar with the 1.0 version of the dungeon will see that this place adds a few tricky mechanics. One of which is, in this dungeon, you actually do not want to get too far ahead. Too far behind your main tank, or whoever is leading through.
And it does its best to get you to end up behind your main tank. It pulls some sneaky tricks.
We'll see shortly one of the reasons why.
And you'll also notice too, there's a couple of nods and throwbacks to people who did this dungeon originally, which one of them will be coming up and I will point it out.
Those who are watching my screen would have noticed that my Gul'dan ring hit 0%. I forgot to fix it, but it's not really contributing much to my stats anyway.
Oh, we're gonna fail.
Oh man, you
I'm gonna fail because my ring is broken.
Well, here's one of the nods to 1.0 as well. The water stain notes that you'll see periodically on the walls. They're unlike Sestasha, where the note actually tells you what to do. These are more or less flavor text.
Yeah. And I believe they're the same flavor text as we had in 1.0, too.
Indeed. Now, in the original dungeon, the first chest you would find is actually right here where this broken chest is. So far, the dungeon is almost identical to the original. But...
Now, people who... Oh, sorry.
Go right ahead.
I was going to say that people may be noticing that I'm not really marking the mobs as I'm going through and doing it. That's because when you've only got 2 enemies to fight, it's not really worthwhile to mark the mobs. But when you have 3 or more, you should really... it's really an important thing to learn how to do. Especially because there was someone on earlier who was complaining, saying, it's like, well, this tank doesn't even know how to mark their targets in Stone Vigil.
Well, I interrupt one moment. This is one of the reasons why we were saying not for somebody to either run far ahead of the tank or not to run too far behind the tank.
Yeah, this is when I'm going to get sucked. What's going to happen is I'm going to get sucked through. There's going to be a web that's going to form behind me, and lots of nasties are going to spawn. So let's just
I will
trigger
stay
it and
on
get it
this
over
side
with.
of the web just to show.
Whoosh. And as you can see, it all closes up,
And what you have,
and we end up with friends.
and what you have to do up for people got locked on the back side of it is they actually have to break the web before they can even get in.
Yeah.
So be very
And
careful with
so
this
these guys
dungeon.
are gonna just pick up all of these guys here.
This room was not actually in the original dungeon. The door was actually still sealed off.
Now, for marking these guys on the gamepad anyway, I'm just going to show you on this here guy here. Is you use the X key and then you bring it up and you go 1, mark 2. I'm not going to bother marking that guy because he's dead. And that's basically how you do it. It takes a bit to get used to. It's a bit clunky. You would kind of wish that, you know, with the mouse you could go in and, you know, just right-click on them, but it doesn't work. I don't know why it doesn't work.
There are ways,
But it doesn't work.
There are ways of setting up macros that'll tag enemies for you as well. So that's a little bit beyond the scope
Yeah.
of the basic tutorial here.
Yeah, that's advanced stuff, and I still haven't figured that out yet. So.
Well, we'll do a
But
macro tutorial video eventually.
On the subject of macros, one of the things that I've started doing, and I would recommend for some damage dealers, is I've actually set up macros for assisting whatever the tank is actually attacking. Basically, it targets the tank, and then basically targets whatever they're targeting.
Which is hugely important when you start getting into the full party, the 8-person dungeons and fights and stuff. It becomes incredibly important because stuff gets incredibly confused. And it's good to have a macro to target the tank, to target the tank's target, and to target other enemies rather than your allies, because otherwise it gets really nasty. Another thing I've done, and I'm just going to show you this real quick on my screen here, is under character configuration, under character, see on the battle effects, I've turned the parties down to limited and the others down to none. That's just to reduce the amount of spam, because otherwise it gets really, really crazy really fast. As you'll see on Nell's side of things, you'll probably see I'm just in the middle of a huge series of explosions. And if you get into like big fates and stuff, it's even worse. You really can't tell what's going on. So in some cases it might be good just to turn everything off but your own. Or even turn your own off, because they're big effects.
I'm going to note here that there is a fork in the road, and both ways will get you the required protocells that you need to continue. However, if you go the west route, all you'll get is the protocells. If you go this way, there's actually a chest on the way down.
Okay. On tanking, you notice you have 2 abilities for grabbing hate. You got Flash and Provoke. Now I've got access to Provoke here. Provoke is basically sort of your emergency, oh crap, get it off the healer now thing. It, as far as I can tell anyway, and somebody may refute this, but as far as I can tell, going through, is it doesn't seem to generate hate. It just turns it towards you temporarily. Flash is the one you want to be spamming to build hate, especially on groups.
Also, take note that's as a addendum to that. This is geared those actually geared towards the Paladin and Gladiator style tanking. Warrior tanking is slightly different.
Yeah, warrior tanking is different, and I haven't really dug into that yet, so I'm not going to presume to lecture on that at all.
We just want to make sure that let people know that basic Gladiators and Paladins aren't the only tank.
Yeah, and it is also important to note that warriors, since Flash is a gladiator ability, warriors have access to it. So it might be a good thing to making sure your gladiator is leveled up enough, just enough to make sure you have that ability, so you've got that Flash and Provoke just in case.
For reference, warrior is the job for Otter. So if you're confused, the axe wielding job, basically.
Okay, and yay, louses. Louses used to be such a pain in 1.0, because if you used weapon skills on them, and they had discrete weapon skills, unlike what they've got now, they would basically swell up and explode and hit everyone with this huge AoE poison. Oh, I didn't get them. Get back to you guys.
Let it tank, gosh.
I know, I'm terrible.
This was the interview, right?
But using special abilities on any of them would cause them to swell up and explode and do this huge AoE poison that would do huge amounts of damage and hit you with this nasty dot. And so you had to basically grind through them with your regular attack. Unless you hit them hard enough to wipe them all out. Yeah. And a lot of people had gotten into Toto-Rak and gotten their parties wiped because they run in there and like, hey, I'll just run in here and do my AoE attack, and wait, why are we all on the ground?
There'll be enough of that in later dungeons.
Yep, lots of that in later dungeons.
Alright, so now we had a bunch of protocells. You need at least 4 to activate each gate.
And
We'll show you the gate around the corner.
There's also a note that not all the photocells will actually be visible. Some of them will only show up once you've defeated the critters that are in the area. Much like the keys from other dungeons. Like the stop ships, for example.
Now, Mixie, I noticed you're doing a lot of debuffs this time around. How is the fairy handling the healing?
There's 2 guys, I don't even have to heal. I can just DPS all I want. When there's 3, I heal until there's 2, and then I'll start killing. So the Pixie, I'm very, very happy with the Pixie. She's very good at her job.
I'm very happy with the Pixie too, because I haven't ended up on the ground yet.
That'll be my job soon enough.
No suicide kittying yet.
But the DDs are supposed to end up dead after pulling too much haste.
Do we know anything about the updated lore for this dungeon?
All I know is it has
Actually, I
stories.
think there was more of it that we learned about in. I think we learned more about it in 1.0 than we did this time around. Right now, it's just sort of this. Yes, it's this nasty place that was there. In 1.0, it was someplace that had some sort of weird etheric disturbance, and the Garleans had apparently been investigating it. Though they pulled out long before you actually got in there. And it was just infested with nasty stuff. So
Speaking of
yeah, I'm not sure what
nasty
the whole.
stuff,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
Here's
So this is.
here's a little tidbit about these dungeons. You'll notice there's actually more than one of the purple glowing walls. These things, remember, these things do not actually close until you activate the spawners, for lack of a better term. So, if there was something basically around down this direction that we hadn't gotten yet, we could still go back and get it without having to deal with this.
and you'll notice that
That's a good time to use provoke because
he does not spawn until you send someone to the center to activate his terminal.
And
now you don't actually have to finish activating the terminal because it won't activate anyway. So as soon as it activates, just move to cancel it off because it's. Otherwise, he's just going to go and eat your healer. Like he almost did.
Positioning in this fight is very important. You want to position it away from as many people as you can, because it has a very large AoE that poisons everyone. And that poison does a fair amount of damage.
And also, it will tend to spawn ads. Maybe not this one, but the next one definitely will. And they also have their own poison AoE as well, so you can actually have 2 free poison dots on your ones.
Yeah, it's important as a tank. Make sure you pick them all up and get them all away from the healers. Otherwise, it gets to be a mess.
Now, as an Arcanist, you'll notice that I am constantly cycling my debuffs right now in an attempt to try to make sure that there's always the maximum amount of damage being dealt to the mob. Then we got an Iron Elmo.
Not to be confused with the red Elmo.
Or a tickle me Elmo.
I'll just read that.
Alright, I'm going to bring up the map for a second. As you can see, there's the fork in the road way up here. And they both led to the same spot where we're at now. So just so everyone knows, we did actually show that it was a loop.
Okay. Okay, so we got some of these guys.
These are smaller versions of what we just killed, and again, they do enjoy poisoning.
Yeah, they like their poison.
Yeah, if I remember correctly as well, wasn't there some Mughals that got lost in here in 1.0?
Yeah, that was actually
Yeah,
part of the quest change of time. And it was basically talking to those Mughals actually completely the quest. You didn't actually have to kill the boss.
Or boss.
And Nell was mentioning earlier about photocells spawning when you killed the mobs. That one just spawned when we killed that plant thing, the Warden's Whip. So you have to do that to get some of the photocells to get through, because there's 2 gates that you have to open. We've done 1. We have 1 other one to do, so we need another 4 photocells.
This dungeon was a little weird in the original version of the game, as it actually had 3 different end bosses, depending on the difficulty you wanted to proceed with. There was a level 25, a level 30, and a level 35 boss. This path we're actually going down now used to be the path to the level 25 boss.
Oh yeah, there's a treasure coffer. Okay, so let's get this. And again, try and keep everything away from the mages. These things love their poison AoE.
This is a very poison-filled dungeon.
Yeah. Everything in here is toxic.
And if it's not toxic, it still tries to kill you anyway.
Yeah. There we go. Down you go.
And we got a coffer over here.
Yeah, this would have been where you went into to fight the boss.
Effectively, there were 3 different dire mites you could fight in here.
Yep.
We're not sure what the boss is at the end here, but we'll see that when we get to the end. I'm rushing ahead a little bit. I know I really shouldn't, but
It's cool. You gotta
I'm
hear
crazy. I'm crazy like that.
Don't worry, if you happen to get aggro, we'll be happy to abandon you to your fate.
Hooray! Abandonment! Wait, what?
Actually, I should really mark these guys. Now, get back here.
I don't think he likes me.
No, they don't like you.
Oh, they don't like Nixie.
Don't worry, we don't like you either, so...
Oh, what the heck happened there? How did you... You used water and it flew behind you.
Well,
probably
carbon...
carbon.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Sorry
carbon.
about that. I didn't have solid hate when I was marking it. I should have just left it as it was.
As a scholar, I don't actually have a knockback. I just have to eat it in the face.
Oh, it was Carby that did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Alright, there are
Carby and his charming little knockback move.
3
Hi,
bits
guys.
here, so the tank definitely wants to keep them on the one side, while everybody else stands on the other.
Okay, just put them all up. And you notice that the game does actually mark stuff for you itself. Like they're marked Warden's Whip B, C, and D. So if you got voice chat going, you can sort of forego the whole marking of them thing and just say attack B first, attack C first, attack D first, whatever you want.
Of course, voice chat is obviously not required because it's not in the game code, so if you're doing a duty finder and you're doing a dungeon like this, don't expect or force people to use it, because if it's not the game, it's not something that should be required.
No, and that's basically if you're doing a group with friends. But if you are in a duty fighter thing, mark your targets.
It's only polite.
And you could save your healer.
Oh, there we got another spawn.
And remember to spay and neuter your Mikote.
So that was
What?
Carbuncle.
Only you can control the Mikote population.
Oh my
No one can
god.
control the Mikote population.
Now, up ahead is basically another split. To the right, there'll be it's effectively a dead end, but more chests. And then to the left is continuing on to the rather more dangerous part of the dungeon.
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting. Okay. Although a mushroom is basically called Prisoner's Delight. And I wonder what the prisoners were doing for recreation.
I don't know.
Well, this is
We'll leave
prison
that up
pudding.
to the viewers. Leave the implications of that up to the viewers.
Now, the weird thing is I swear I've heard the term prison pudding before. Well, I have to look it up at some point on Wiki, but I swear that's actually a thing. Not a, like, I don't know.
And the coffer is over in here. I think it's in here.
Oh, it's in the next one.
It's over in this room. Ah, here we go. So it's in this room over here.
And we get a potion! Yay!
Look.
It used to be the quality of the chests that you got in the original 1.0 version depended on how many of those crummy chests that you got, plus how fast you actually did it.
So glad I
Which
got
meant
rid of
you had a
speed
lot of-
runs. Wait.
Which
For the tank,
As you
Oh,
can
sorry.
see, there was one that came over from the left and one that came over from the right. So the first thing the tank should do after running in here is do some sort of AoE move to get all of their attention. They do like to sneak up on us like that.
wait, where did it go?
everyone's poisoned.
Jeez,
I'm bleeding.
I couldn't see anything for a minute there. Sorry about that.
My organs are melting from poison.
For those of you playing Scholars, this is a good time to activate Whispering Dawn on your healing fairy when everyone is taking damage. It's important to note that if you don't have your pet on steady, they'll be casting them out whenever it comes off cooldown, which is probably a lot of the time that you don't need it.
Okay. Sorry about rushing in like that.
And
And here's another trick.
Yeah.
coffer.
the coffer was actually basically one of those Ochus were in the coffer room.
Doo-doo.
Yeah, normally, if you were playing a 1.0 of this dungeon, you'd not be able to get through here. But, 2.0,
Whoa! Yeah, it starts doing that further along in here, and you start getting fun like this. Did anything spawn behind? No? Okay, good. Oops.
My Pixie seems to have lost her way into the webs. Oh no, she got trapped in the webs.
Yeah, she got actually trapped in the web wall. So basically, people with pets need to be extra careful with these doors.
if your pet gets stuck, the safest thing to do is to let them go and then bring them back.
Now you're going to start running into something further along here called
Flesh ball?
fleshy pods. Not, I don't think it's. I think it's after the boss.
Yeah, it's after
but
the next
it
boss.
Okay, so I'm going to go pull these guys here. Actually, before I do that, let's do this properly here. Mark it. Come on. Not emote. Mark. 1. 2. And I can't quite select him. And 4. Because why not?
Wait, what? 1, 2,
This is
4.
This is as you were talking about.
When did we get into Monty Python?
Ever since that one Sastasha run.
I can math.
I feel like I'm
Maybe?
playing Munchkin.
I own Munchkin.
We kick down the door, we do 1, 2, 4, 6, and then we do the room.
remember when we first encountered mites, when we first saw mites, we saw these things, and these horrible fleas crossed with tarantulas. This is horrible. And then we saw the fully grown-up version of them, which added scorpions into the mix.
Yeah, you can encounter some of those just outside Gridania, actually.
Okay.
Yep.
This is
Okay.
one of those cases where we actually have a side room we can actually go down and come back. And I think we might actually might have to for one of the photocells.
Yeah. Okay. So
Let's head down
are
this right now.
Okay.
Yep, there's a photocell right there as an example.
Stuff in there.
Yep, that's a dead end. That's true dead end.
Okay, so here we go.
And I know it's been mentioned in Let's Play in our dungeon runs over and over again, but unfortunately, it bears repeating. DDs do not over-damage before your tank has gotten a good grip on the hate.
Yeah, it is not the tank's fault if the tank can't the hate off you because you put too much hate on it. It's your own darn fault.
And unfortunately, that also leads to the simple fact of the healer will then be spending all their energy trying to heal you up, building their own hate, and when you finally fall, the tank will have no way of getting hate off of the healer.
That depends on the healer, whether or not they're tired of your,
If they
This
just
is
let
the
you
old
die.
chest here. There's an old chest in there.
That's where
Old
one used to be.
Yeah. And it's been broken open by adventurers 5 years ago who came in here.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it looks like we had some nice people come in here and restock with all new goodies and new monsters.
Yeah, back in 1.0, the various chests actually had armor and weaponry, and what you actually got depended on how many of the chests you ended up opening up.
Yeah.
There was 5 chests that you got, depending on. I think the first one was the number of chests that you had, the number of enemies that you killed, how fast you ran the dungeon, which boss you killed, and how many of the protocells you used. So basically, if you wanted to get all 5 chests, you had to do all of that super fast. But back then, this dungeon was not level capped, so level 50s could come in and steamroll the dungeon. There's another cocker. I
and
don't
one
believe
it's
it.
And another one. Yep, this one actually had 2.
6 tin elegant pieces. That's what, 10 gil total?
No, that's 150. Yes, dungeon runs are not intended to be your main cash cows in this game.
No,
This
if you
particular
want,
dungeon, however, has dynamite webs, which, depending on your server, they may be overfarmed.
or underfarm, depending.
Okay, everybody needs to be careful because this is another one of the Ochus we just dealt with.
Yeah, except this one spawns ads, so everyone's ready?
Yep.
Or-
At about 50%, it'll spawn 2 extras.
And here they are.
There we
There.
go.
Tank wants to grab them and place it pull them away.
Oh,
Otherwise, they'll do that.
Yeah. That was bad luck. They spawned right on top of you guys.
yeah, the problem with them is the slow, and I can't remove slow. Because I'm a scholar and I'm not level 3.
As you can see, on all my cooldowns, it slowed me down quite a bit. But
Yeah, and as you can tell with my spells, it took forever.
now, fortunately, they'll all disappear once you kill the boss. So,
Yes.
and hey, we got 2 treasure coffers. And hey, Warden's gauntlets. I'm just gonna pass on those because I have no use for that. And ethereal goatskin duckbills. I don't know. Pass them out.
And I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go green unless some people actually need the duck bills. No, you don't.
I will snag those. I could use them.
Okay, I'll pass.
Yes, my inventory is
Okay.
filled with junk.
Okay, this is something now new to the dungeon, to this part of the dungeon. This goo, when it's particularly if it's glowing, because you'll notice it will fade away then come back. If you walk through
Whoa.
it, you'll immediately be slowed. And
You also have to watch for these fleshy pods, and because they explode.
this is the dungeon where having
then-
a ranged DD is very important to take care of these pods before anybody gets close to them.
Allow me to show.
Now, fortunately, both tank classes have a ranged ability, and these things are one shot. So, if worst comes to worst, the tank can take care of it for you.
Yeah, it's not. Just to clarify, the goop doesn't get slow. It gives a weight effect which slows you
Yeah,
walking speed.
that's what I meant. I apologize.
Okay.
It basically slows you down walking time. And I did make a mistake a minute ago and shot the mite by accident. So, DDs don't do that.
Okay.
It makes tanks upset.
And healers, the DD are doing that a lot on purpose. Don't be afraid to triage them. Eventually,
Okay,
they'll
let's
get
just
take a-
killed.
Yeah. These fleshy pods, just be careful because some of them will actually appear around the corner and you won't see them until you're right on top of them. And when they blow up, it's a very nasty attack that will do a fair amount of damage.
And there's another coffer in here.
Okay. More tin pieces. Yay. I gotta wonder, like, what is all this goo we're walking around in?
It's one of those things you rather just don't want to ask about.
Well, I think
Okay.
we might find out by the end of the dungeon.
I don't know. I don't think. It's just generic green goo. Trademark.
We'll leave it at that. And let the viewers make their own
That's
decisions.
It's like all those play sets from the 80s that had, you douse your action figures in green goo, all exploded in here all at once.
Oh god, I remember having some of the turtles with the goo.
I remember having the old mad scientist set.
That was a big thing then. Okay, fleshy pod, boom.
Yeah.
Doesn't take much to get rid of those, but if they explode in your face, it hurts.
Yeah, it gives a lot of damage and a good chunk of poison.
Yeah. There are usually ways around some of the goo without actually stepping through it.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Or stuff like this happens.
Your healer gets overzealous. But as long as the healer's on the side where the
pretty
fight
much-
is,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
as long as the healer's on the side where the fight is, you should be okay.
As long as it's not just the healer on the side.
Yeah, not just the healer.
Yeah,
I brought
the
the
healer
tank
by
with me.
themselves.
This is one of the dungeons. This is starting with Toto-Rak. They do start punishing people who don't pay attention to what's going on around them.
Speaking of what's going on around, you'll notice the design here. Looks really, really nice. That used to actually be white light shining through, and there didn't used to be all these spider eggs and goop and everything everywhere, so this is definitely a huge improvement.
They did have the mites though, unfortunately.
Yes.
Mites are everywhere.
You might say they were a problem.
You might.
We don't want to bug people about it though.
Oh, yeah, almost walked right into that.
Like we said earlier, you gotta be careful because you'll actually see them like right around the corner at times. And you actually won't actually see them until it's absolutely too late.
There's a couple of spots where they are literally around the corner.
So, one piece of advice to give is if you're actually have quick twists and turns, kind of hug the outside wall. That way you can actually see around the corner before you actually get in. And the first time we went through we actually had someone literally run into a flesh pod because it was sitting on the inside part of the corner. And they didn't see it until, well, walked into it.
You gave it a kiss. These are not things you want to give a kiss to. They're disgusting.
Actually, I think it was probably this turn, one of these turns
And
coming
this
up,
is-
actually.
This one right here. Yep, there you go.
So there's like 3 of these sorts of turns in this area.
Now, you can either go
There's
left
another one.
here and go straight to the boss, or we can go down and get some more coffers.
And then after the battle is over, we spend the next 30 minutes washing off our boots.
I think we'd probably take a lot longer than that.
Okay, we'll replace them.
Yeah, I think replacing them
them.
sounds like a very good idea right about now.
Also, if you notice, this particular room
Possibly.
actually has 2 coffers.
Yep.
I think I got gunk in my shoes before I even got the shoes.
Come back to you.
Oh my god, learn to tank.
Tasty lightning crystals.
Yeah, hoard your crystals.
Where's your crystals?
They're
Where's your
probably the
crystals?
They're probably the most precious thing in the game right now.
There's some more tin pieces.
That and elegant tomestones.
Yeah.
Here's another corner with some fleshy pods coming up.
Ah,
See? Right there.
did Kirby just eat that?
Yes, Kirby was hungry, he went nom nom nom. And look, there's another one right around this corner,
Yes,
too.
right there.
And do they explode if you walk into them?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they
They're
do.
effectively
fact-
landmines.
In fact, there's 2 right
They're-
here. I will give a demonstration for the video.
Oh. Yeah, it's much better to not walk into them.
And the thing is, though, when we come up to the boss, we have there's actually a special tactic that goes with that.
Now, I believe there's one more thing of web coming up. Yes, right here.
It's right here, yeah.
Don't go through yet. There'll be a mob that spawns in front, and there'll be one that'll spawn behind. So the best thing the tank can do is the range attack the one in front, and immediately turn around and try to pull the one from behind, so it doesn't attack the healers.
Okay, ready? And you get pulled in.
And since we're all already in,
Kirby.
It's not Kirby's fault. Stop blaming the poor rodent.
He's the only one with the knockback ability.
yeah. Also, another tidbit: those of you who are playing Arcanists or further on Scholars and Summoners, be very careful with your pets in the upcoming dungeons. Not
Yeah,
keep
other-
a good leash on your pet will get the party killed.
Yeah, and it will get people angry at you. We don't want pet using classes to get a bad reputation in this game because people don't practice good pet control.
Yeah. When we do,
So I know
go
that-
ahead.
I know that in Final Fantasy XI there's a lot of unfair anti-pet attitudes because there were a select few who weren't doing very good pet control, and so people would just rather not have to deal with the pets. So it's important to prove that your pets you can control your pets well enough that it's worthwhile for them to be there.
It's actually not so much of a problem for the Pixie because it doesn't have an attack. So it will never
Yeah, it just-
attack anything.
Well,
Yeah, it'll just heal.
in the upcoming video of Hawk Manor, there will be a point where you basically pet classes need to pay attention.
Yeah.
And that's
Here we are at the
with a capital
final
N,
boss.
but-
All right.
Oh.
So, we'll go through, we'll get the cutscene, and then we'll go over the strategy of the fight. I certainly hope nobody in our audience has arachnophobia.
Yeah. Fear of spiders, fear of fleas, fear of scorpions.
By now,
this
they would have already been fearing terror. So,
Yes, this is not the boss for you. Okay.
you're all in.
Yep.
Yep,
Okay,
roll in.
strategy time. Starting off, he will summon a whole bunch of these little pop eggs all around the arena. DDs, take them out as soon as you can.
Preferably if you have ranged abilities, because as you noticed from the previous flesh pods, just getting up close and personal is going to hurt, and the healer is going to have to throw extra heals on you just because of that.
At 75, 50, and 25%, the boss will spawn 2 ads. The tank needs to either pull them over, or the DDs who are being attacked need to pull over to the tank so that way they can be taken off. And then they need to be killed very quickly because they do have low health, but they have decent damage. And finally, at a certain point, the big boss's tail will shed and it'll start glowing bright red. At this point, whenever that tail smashes into the ground, the entire area around where the tail lands will turn to green poison and will damage anybody in it. You can target the tail, and if you destroy the tail, not only does it prevent all the poison from damaging anymore, but it actually stuns the monster for a good 10 seconds.
Yeah, and the thing is though, that poison doesn't dissipate very quickly. Oftentimes, actually in our last run together, we actually had almost half the area covered by that green poison before one of the spots finally dissipated enough for us to run into a safe spot.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go.
So are you ready to go?
I'll go this way. Pods are down.
Yep. Onto the boss. And if you and for those who have ranged abilities, if you actually see the whole monster at once, you will actually see that the tail will actually have its own hit point bar and name appear on it. So.
Okay, spawns are up.
I think we forgot to mention that he will spawn the flesh pods on top of someone as well.
Yeah, but
Yes.
that's usually only one flesh pod.
Yeah.
If that spawns on you, move. It will explode, and it will hit everybody around you.
So he keeps dropping on me. But I'll continue.
For tanks, it's important since you're going to be spamming flash a lot to keep your MP up. And you have at least for gladiator tanks or paladin tanks.
There goes the tail. Tail is now active. I'm going to put dots on the
Poison
tail.
is up.
See that base right there. And as you notice, that basically that poison smear covers a large portion of the ground on its own.
Yeah.
So very quickly, that tail can actually cover the entire ground in very virulent poison.
Tail is almost gone. Tail is down.
And it's stunned.
Alright, final set of ads, I think.
Oh, here now you see basically the flesh pod like right here. Mixie, might move out of the way real quick.
So add over here.
Let's take care of some more of these ads, and we'll get ready for the limit break.
Whoa.
Limit break incoming.
And go for it.
No! You interrupted my limit break? My showy
I'm
flashy
sorry.
moment. Ruined.
Well, then we'll just rerun the dungeon again.
Alright, and that is how we do Toto-Rak. Okay. Let's take a look at that loot list.
A Thalassian Targe. Basically, your basic caster shield, and I already have one.
Yeah. I'll just read that because I do need to level Conjurer / White Mage at some point.
I actually have one of those from 1.0. When things for those who are new to this, also relatively new to the series, or new to Realm Reborn in general, a lot of the special dungeon loot actually used to be NM drops in 1.0, like Thalassian Targe, various weapons and armor pieces were actually basically world NMs. When they took out the world NMs, they basically put all the pieces into level appropriate dungeons.
To be said, some of those World NMs still show up as Fate NMs.
Yeah, but they don't drop.
But
their
their drops are now dungeon drops. So let's get out of here.
Alright, well thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. As always, you can leave any positive or negative comments in the box below. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow myself on Twitter. And if you want to be a member on the Dungeon Raid team, or if you'd like to join us sometime, please either leave a comment on the official Lodestone topic or through YouTube private messaging. As always, this is Nell Celestine, and my crew for the day.
Mia.
Guys?
Izzy and Mixie, of course.
Isilme Turifont.
Mixie Trixel.
Mia Shaw.
Bidding you adieu.
Okay, ending the recording now.